Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Today, I got a former, now retired, sales rep with me. Have you ever thought of a career in selling tennis goods as a salesman? As a sales rep? Well, you gotta stay tuned for this one. All right, guys, so got America's favorite rep, Johnny Rushworth, here with me today. Welcome, Johnny.
Good morning, Harry. Great to see you.
So, John has had a very illustrious career. I started my career in tennis in 1990, and John has been peddling something since before that. Therefore, how long you been in the industry?
Over 40 years.
Oh my gosh.
Over 40 years.
40 years. And that tells you how old I am.
How old am I? How old is dirt?
Let's give a quick thank out to our coffee sponsor of today, Eric Chua. What's up, Eric?
Eric, thanks. Thanks for the hot chocolate.
Yeah. My man doesn't drink caffeine anymore, I guess.
Makes me hyper.
And
you don't want to see that.
He's already normally hyper, so we don't want him really amped up now.
No.
All right, so Eric writes, hey, Master Jedi Harry, here's a toast to you and 3 tennis balls. Oh, here's a toast to you, Eric.
Toast.
I appreciate you. All right. If you want to be my or our coffee sponsors of the day, network is buymeacoffee.com/tennis spin. Thank you all in advance. Hot chocolate, huh, my man?
Yeah, that's
all
it.
Right. You know, there's a little caffeine in
Yeah,
there.
just a little bit.
Okay, so 43 years as a tennis sales representative. So here's just a quick synopsis of it from my perspective. Whenever you or some of the other sales reps that, take care of the other companies come in, it would be kind of an exciting day for us. I would expect to see something new.
New product.
Yes, something technologically advanced, or at least a new color.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might bring me a treat or two.
Yep. Little treat, maybe some, little gifts.
Yes. See, they were great for doing that. They would, here's a t-shirt, here's a cap, here's some new balls,
Yeah.
here's some, once in a blue moon, here's a racket for you.
Yeah.
So we would always enjoy when Johnny would come to town.
Yeah.
So essentially your job was to represent the company. That's hence your title.
Yeah.
You were essentially like a traveling salesman.
Yes, and a key part of a sales rep's job, I think, is information. We're calling on hundreds of accounts. We know what's going on. We know what's trending. And I think as a retailer, if you don't take advantage of your sales rep, you're missing out on a lot of pertinent information that you're going to get instantly. You can either telephone, telegraph, or telerep. Telerep is the fastest.
Oh, yeah. No, and you have all the answers, too. That's the thing. If I don't know anything, hey, Johnny, what's up with this thing? Oh, you know. But then he'll talk you up for 30 minutes, though, so you got to be careful. Got to keep Johnny short.
Cut him off.
Okay, just tell me the answer, quick. Get the customer in front of me.
It's true.
So how did you get started in the industry? How did you start selling?
I got started in retail.
Just like me?
Just like you.
Oh.
I started in a retail ski and tennis shop. Ski, tennis, and camping. And we had a store in San Anselmo, California. And I was a salesperson. And then I worked as a tennis stringer and also working in the ski rental part of the shop and in the camping rental. In those days, you had big, massive stores that carried a lot of stuff. This wasn't a huge store, but it was good size. And I worked there for 6 years. We opened a second store in Mill Valley. I was a manager of that. And I noticed these people coming in called sales reps, and they would come in and they would give us a hat and they would tell us what's going on in the industry, tell a few jokes and leave. And I thought, this is a great thing, the sales rep thing, because I'm tired of working retail 9 to 9. That got old after 6 years. No offense to the retailers. If it's your own business, it's pretty good. I mean, Harry is,
30 years.
30 years. He's loving life.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's how I got into it.
Oh, so where was your first job? Where did you go?
First job, Season Ski and Sport Shop, the retail store.
Okay, and then first rep job.
First rep job, Fraser Edwards in San Francisco. At that time, Fraser Edwards they did tennis court resurfacing.
Oh.
They also had tennis equipment, a little bit of tennis equipment. And I sold a very famous tennis racket that nobody's heard of called a Fuda Bayou.
Oh, no way.
Yes.
I've heard of it.
And Fuda Bayou had a copy of the Jack Kramer racket. And truth be told, I think Fuda Bayou made a lot of the Kramer rackets.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they were the manufacturer of the Kramer, but they put their own name on it too at
Correct.
some point.
Yeah.
Okay. Fraser Edwards still around, right?
Fraser Edwards still around, I think, yes, in the tennis resurfacing and court building business.
Yes. So they're essentially Hard True in a way.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Or one of the other, I don't know if it's Hard True, but it's one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but they're now no longer in the racket business.
No.
Where'd you go after that?
After Fraser Edwards, they formed a company. Larry Brink started a company called L&M Distributing.
Yeah, over here.
Right.
Yeah.
And L&M was basically the distributor for Prince tennis rackets.
So we did a video on L&M.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
We shot a video over there, and it's mostly like court equipment and
Screens.
Resurfacing equipment, like paint and all that stuff.
And
no more rackets. Yeah, screens.
Yeah. So L&M, this is a funny story. After I worked for the Seasons, I worked for FTC in the city.
Yeah, FTC Sports. Yeah, they were ski and tennis too.
Bush and Franklin.
Yeah.
So I worked there for, a couple of years, and I kept saying to myself, when I get done after this 2 years, I am going to move to Hawaii. Because I like surfing and kiting and in those days, windsurfing. Anyway, I moved to Hawaii. I met Larry Brink again. Funny story, because Larry Brink was my landlord when I had the store in Mill Valley. Oh. So I got to know Larry Brink, former LA Ram.
Okay.
Huge man.
Okay.
Anyway, Larry said, I have an opportunity to get this Prince racket. What do you think we should do? And I said, we should definitely get the Prince racket. And he goes, why are you so confident? I said, because Howard Head, who invented the head metal ski, he will spend money on marketing and advertising way before the product, most people would do it. So he will make it work just on the fact that he's so committed, and he was such a genius at what he did. And so anyway, I worked for Larry Brink at L&M for I think 6 or 7 years with Mark Stevens, now the owner of L&M. And then in those days, distributors were used to sell many products. But it was changing. So then they went to direct factory reps. And that's when I went to work directly for Prince.
I got it. So there were repping firms. There still are, but not as much as before.
Yeah,
so back in the day, a lot of the companies would hire a firm, and then they would get Johnny here, and Johnny would rep like Prince rackets, and then some kind of clothes. Possibly some kind of shoes. So it would be like an all-inclusive Johnny.
Yeah. And it was like my own little business, and I would make a commission on different things. So I sold Prince rackets. I sold shoe goo. I sold tennis nets. I sold a lot of stuff. And it was a great time. It was rocking and rolling. You make a little bit from each company, and it was your own little business.
And it was like kind of a one-stop shop. You would go to like me, per se, and say, hey, I got Prince here. I got shoe goo. If you need net straps, or, and so
whatever
you would bring it all in here. Yeah. And then would you bill in one spot, or would everybody bill me separately back then?
Well, back then, a lot of times because of the distributors, we'd bill you directly.
Okay.
But as things changed and small companies would start, that weren't so established, they would say, "Hey, John, can you take this on?" I go, "Yeah, I have time to do that." And a lot of times you'd say, "No, I don't. I'm just too busy."
Right.
So there were distributors, and then there were, people like me that had a bunch of different lines that did bill separately for different product.
Okay. All right, so let's jump into Prince here. Our first real repping job. Prince. What year was that?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe 76.
Oh, wow. Okay. They were still wood? Was it woody out then?
Yeah, there was wood. There was a metal called the T2000. You might have known it.
Right.
Wilson T2000, Jimmy Connors. Anyway, they came out with the first aluminum racket and the first oversized racket.
Yep.
110 square inches.
Right.
The regular racket was how many square inches?
I want to say 80 or 75 or something
tiny,
like that. Yeah.
Tiny. Easy sales pitch.
Right.
Do you want a sweet spot this big or do you want a sweet spot this big? Bigger sweet spot, better player.
So you must have sold like Prince Pros.
Sold the original Prince Classic.
Oh.
The green.
Oh, the green.
It
yes.
was aluminum with green. We sold a lot of those. When we first came out with the Prince Pro, black, tubular, much stiffer, could string it tighter. We sold 300,000 the first year.
Woo.
Yeah, it was a tremendous success.
Okay, the Prince. I have to ask this question. The one with the green, the steel one,
classic.
What was that retail price?
I want to say that retail price was $100 to $110.
$110 in '76 was a lot of money.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Well, if you thought that was a lot of money, then we came out with the Pro. It was about 120, I think, and then we came out with the Graphite, $300. That was a lot of money then.
Whoa.
And we couldn't make them fast enough.
At $300.
$300.
I remember when they were $199, but $300. Jesus.
Yeah, $300.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They were made in the U.S. though. Probably.
They were made. Well, the originals were made in New Jersey.
Oh yes.
And Prince got the name from Princeton, New Jersey.
Yes, I remember that part.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're in the Prince now, and we're doing great.
Yes, we are.
Having a lot of fun. I remember when I started in '90, you were still with Prince.
Yeah, I was with Prince the first stint 16 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that makes sense. So when I started, you were with Prince. I remember you moving on to, and I'm just going to, something Adidas watches for a little bit. Was that after?
That was after. After Prince, I was headhunted away by Head.
Oh.
So I worked for Head Sports.
Okay.
Bob Hampton was the president of the company. I'll never forget. I was getting a lot of phone calls to work for other people, and I just said no. And one day I said, well, I'll take a phone call. So Bob Hampton called me from Colorado, which is where Head was based, and he said, I want to hire you. And I said, I don't think you can afford me,
right.
Which I think kind of pissed him off. And so he said, meet me at the Denver airport. There's a ticket on the way. And I said, okay. And he goes, I can afford you. So this is a funny story. So we met at the Denver airport, and we had about a 1 hour meeting, and we went through everything. And he did hire me, and he did pay me more money. And in those days, there was an ad running, a full page ad with Agassi with his hair. And it said, guess who's playing with the Head Radical racket? And it was Agassi.
Right.
So when he hired me, he ran a full page ad in Inside Tennis, and it was a picture of me, and it said, guess who the new head rep for Northern California is? So it was big news.
I didn't remember that.
I was famous for 5 minutes.
I think that was, what year was that? 90.
Yeah.
Something. Early
92.
90s. Yeah.
I think 92.
Yeah, I was in the middle of my college.
Yeah.
That's
you young whippersnapper.
I was looking at other things.
Yeah, I bet you were.
All right, so we were selling Andre and the image is everything.
Image is everything.
Rackets. And how long did that last?
Couple of years.
Okay.
And then I went to the watches.
The watches. That didn't last very long.
1 year.
Yeah.
Stellix watches, which was Adidas watches. And I worked with the Adidas sales force. And my sales pitch was, you're not going to retire selling these watches, but you're going to pay for your expenses. And then I would also have contests win a trip to Hawaii. I had them motivated, and it was basically like an annuity. Get in there, place the watches, we'll take it from there. We'll do all the fill-ins, you'll just get commission.
Okay.
Worked out great.
They're not around anymore, right?
No, it worked out great on my end. The owner of the company, they're doing just fine. They're the biggest watch retailer in Japan.
Okay.
So they're doing fine. But they just kind of lost interest in it.
Yep. Okay. And then you wound it up where?
After that, I couldn't keep a job. No, after that, I went, let me think now.
Not Babolat
Back
yet.
to Prince.
Back to Prince.
For 5 years.
Oh, okay.
That was a good run too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Prince was growing so fast that they had cut my territory in half, and we had 2 reps in Northern California. So then when they hired me back, there was just 1 rep. So I was able to make a good living.
Got it. So Prince for 5 years during the 03
Yes.
white, black,
Yes.
like
Red.
like right when it was at the top peak. You were making a boatload then because
Yes.
the 03 white was the #1 racket. The red, the blue, the freaking black, all of that was like top 10 rackets there.
And they weren't inexpensive.
No, not at all. And we sold a boatload of them.
Yeah.
They went crashing and burning.
Yeah.
Okay, after that was Babolat, right? No.
After that was Adidas accessories.
Oh, wow.
I did Adidas accessories, which were hats, socks, bags.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I did that for about 2 years. Actually, that was before I did the watches.
Okay.
Anyway, that was very successful. Adidas was so busy they had no time for all the bags, hats, accessories. It was a huge business and a very profitable business because we made lanyards, we made small little bags, we made all this kind of stuff that was good for tennis. It was good for sports. It was good for the hip hop. Run DMC was big at that time. So it was just expanding like crazy. And years later, Adidas bought that whole company from Hirschberg. He owned the company. Okay. John Hirschberg.
Okay.
Is the son.
Got it.
Yeah. So that was, I worked there for a while. And then after that, I think I went to Babolat.
Got it. And how long were you at Babolat?
8 years.
Okay. Until your retirement.
Yeah. I retired 3.5 years ago.
So you pretty much led a very charmed tennis life. I mean, you had Prince for a long time during its heyday.
Yep.
You had Prince again during its peak time.
Yes.
You had Babolat during its peak time again.
Yes.
So you've been very, very lucky.
I've been lucky, but also I've always done the best job I could possibly do. And I've worked extremely hard so that I could retire and enjoy my life.
Yeah.
And a lot of that had to do with the relationships with the dealers. How many years have I known you?
Right.
And being honest with the dealers and making sure you take care of the dealers.
Right.
So what I did that a lot of people didn't do was I would bring in a new product and I could leverage it because I had always been honest with my dealers. If I sold them something and it was really bad, I would say, you know what? I'll take care of that. I'll give it to me. I'll move it down the street. I'll take care of it. I'll make it go away. The company wouldn't know anything about it because they weren't going to take anything back. But I would take that risk because it would always pan out and I would take care of my dealers.
Right.
So because of that, I was always a very popular rep. So when people would come to the stores and they'd make their rounds, the manufacturers, they'd say, well, you know, who's your favorite rep? Who does you right? And my name would always come up because I would go above and beyond with some of the stuff I would do.
Right. And that's the thing that people don't understand is, are you buying the product? Well, yes, but does the person who stands behind the product matter? Yes, right? Because I buy because of my relationship with John. If they were to replace John, would I buy? Yeah, I would buy, but would I buy as much? Would I trust the person? Right? That's the difference between an experienced person versus, let's say, somebody who's either out of the industry or some newbie who doesn't quite know the ropes yet.
Yeah.
So it takes a great used car salesman to be a tennis rep, okay?
Not used car, new car, okay? Get me up to the new car level.
Right. All right, so let's talk about changes. Like what's happened from when you first started until when you retired? What major changes have affected being a sales rep?
Well, I think some of the major changes are you have some of these companies that really are out of touch with tennis. They're in the tennis business, but it's just a commodity. It's a tragic shame because, you know, in the old days when you're in the tennis business, everybody played tennis. The guy in the warehouse, the gal in credit, everybody played tennis. Everyone was into tennis. It's hard to duplicate that. I mean, it was a magical time at Prince. It was a magical time at Babolat until I retired. And I retired because they changed the management team, and I just couldn't keep going that way. So I stopped working. I was going to get another job. I took a month off, and I realized I kind of like not working. And luckily, I could afford it because, thanks to Prince, I have a Prince house. I have a Babolat house. So I'm very lucky that I have my real estate that I was able to retire. But I left the industry just because I couldn't see staying there and going the way it was going.
Right.
It's tough now for a rep to make a living. A lot of reps, they either have to have a lot of lines or a lot of states. You know, in the old days, I had Northern California. Now there's reps that have Northern California, Southern California, Oregon, Washington. How can you possibly cover that kind of territory?
Don't forget Hawaii.
Yeah, Hawaii. Well, that's a good one. I'll take that one.
So back in the day, the concentration of stores were a lot more. Therefore, you could make a living on just northern part of California.
Yeah.
Today, there's not as many retailers out there. I would say probably a tenth of back in the day now.
Yeah, I mean,
that.
During the heyday of Prince, I had 300 accounts.
Ooh, that's just Northern Cal.
Northern Cal, and there aren't even 300 accounts in Northern Cal.
Right. Might be 300 accounts in the whole territory still, though.
Right.
Between all the states.
Yeah.
So the concentration is different. So in order for John to make a living now, they got to expand his territory, give him like the whole western part of the United States now in order for him to make a living. Now, that's a lot of traveling.
It's a lot of traveling. And by the way, I would say almost all the companies do not pay your expenses. So you could easily have $20,000, $25,000 a year expenses easily.
Ooh.
So
Uncle Sam helps a little?
Yeah, a little. You get to write off some. Yeah, so it's definitely more challenging now. Also, some of the companies, like retail and business in general, the level of service is very low. For sales reps, it's still up pretty high. But I mean, you know, if you're talking about cable TV or whatever, there's no level of service. You know, you do it yourself online. And it's just the way things are going. It's unfortunate. If a company still wants to do a great job and they have good service, they're going to be successful. But that's very few companies.
I mean, every company in the last, I want to say, 10 years have kind of pushed me towards B2B.
Yep.
So every company that I work with has a B2B site now. I log in and I can actually look at the line there. I can actually order the line through the website. I can place my pre-booking orders there. To me, I'm an old school person. I'd rather have Johnny come in with his big bag of stuff and say, here's this, or here's that, you know, here's this, and you get this, and you get buy 10 of these, you get one of these, you know, like wheeling and dealing, you know. I can't wheel and deal with a computer.
No, wheeling and dealing is fun.
Right.
We all like wheeling and dealing.
Exactly. So, I mean, I want to see what I'm buying. I want to, you know my person that's selling it to me, and I want to, you know, like it looks different in person than it does on a screen. So I don't know if I'm just the only one, but like ordering online takes me more time too, because I'd have to figure out, how many of these do I have to get? How many of those do I have to get? And then sometimes I time out because I got other things to do and have to start over again. Whereas if Johnny comes in, we're out in 20, 30 minutes. He takes my order. I trust that he's got it. He puts it in. I'll know that I'll get the product. Maybe I'm just the only one that's old school like that, but no, I prefer that.
I think a lot of dealers are that way. And the other thing too is if you're looking at a product and you're going, I don't know about this. And you go, John, what do you think about this? And I could say, you know what? You need to order more of that. That other stuff, don't order it. Mm-hmm. And I have a good sense of what's going on. And so do most sales reps on what's happening because you're dealing with people every day. You're right there on the line. From day to day what's hot and what's not. And that's very valuable.
Well, that's the thing. If without Johnny, if I'm in question of anything online that I see, I'm probably not going to buy it.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the insight on it. Nobody's made me a presentation. Nobody's told me, oh, you don't know about this product.
And you haven't seen it in person.
Right.
That's kind of a big deal.
Right.
You can look at a screen, but you can't feel it. You can't,
Well, paint itself, like gloss versus a matte finish, how are you going to see that on a screen?
Yeah. Also, the string pattern, you can look at the string pattern.
That takes too much reading for me.
Yeah, right. That's right.
I need you to tell me that. So, but yeah, no, that's the one thing that I like, the engagement. I still have that, excitement of when the sales rep comes in because I know I'm going to see something new. I know that a month to 3 months down the road, I'll get what I just ordered and I can present it to you guys to tell you what's on the horizon, what's coming. So, but I kind of feel you in that back in the day, 10 years plus ago, whenever I made a phone call to a CSR rep, customer service representative for any of the companies, they would have some sort of interest and knowledge of tennis.
Right.
And right now, I'm emailing my CSR reps and they're like, what's a 4 1/8?
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, really.
You obviously don't play tennis.
Well, and when we used to have the sales meetings, we would have the customer service reps in there. We would tell them about the programs. Back in the day, the sales reps would help develop the sales programs, and it was so much fun. At Prince, we'd be in a room, and they'd say, well, what do you think about this deal? And we'd go, yeah, that's pretty good. Can we sweeten it a little bit? Because if we sweeten it, it's going to be a home run. Right. And they're like, okay, let's sweeten it to this. So we jumped sales unbelievably. The sales would be up 30, 40% for years at a time.
Right.
And of course, in those days, the market was growing. But even when the market settled down, we would still grow because we would have the best programs. And then the competition would have to match it.
That's true. That's true that when Johnny comes in, we would obviously wheel and deal. I forget about that stuff.
Oh, he wheels and deals. This is the king of wheels and deals.
So how am I as a buyer, Johnny?
You're a great buyer. First of all, you make a decision, which as sales reps, we love people that make a decision. The worst buyer is the guy whose hair's on fire and he's like, kind of warm in here. He's just can't pull the trigger. Oh, yeah.
Hair burned off already.
Solar powered love machine right there. Anyway, so that's a big part of the business is just working with the buyers and, the buyers that can make a decision, the buyers like you that you give them a good deal, you have a program that's good, you pre-book the orders, boom, Harry lays the paper. And like I told him many times, this pen, and I am retired, but I always have my pen, this pen only writes in dozens. That's it, baby.
Then I expect dozens back, too.
That's right. That's right. And I still stop by and see Harry. He's down the road from where I live. And we chew the fat just because I always love my job. All the years I was in my job, I was never bored. I always enjoyed it. Even the tough buyers like you. It was just the most enjoyable job. And, for those young people out there, pursue what you love and you will be successful. Don't just follow the dollars.
All right, so my guess is the best part of this job is just interaction.
Interaction, the people, helping people. If you take pride as a sales rep, and let's face it, there's some bad used car salesmen and new car salesmen. So if you take pride in your job and you really develop a relationship over the years, you're like family. My dealers
Totally.
are like family to me.
Totally.
I mean, there's companies now that have sales meetings and say, we don't want a relationship. We don't want any relationship, so we can take John Rushworth and move him to Florida or move him to New York. It doesn't work that way.
Mm-mm.
Everything in life is a relationship. Some of these big companies got to learn that.
Totally. So that brings up a great point. When Johnny leaves a company and goes to another company, but has the same territory, what does he bring with him? His portfolio. So
Absolutely.
So suddenly, oh, maybe I won't buy so much from that company anymore because Johnny's over here now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to buy more from them because Johnny's over there now.
Yeah.
People do that.
It's very true. Very true. And you see that in the industry.
Right. No, definitely. I've been through that actually last year. Now, what's the worst part of this job?
Well, a lot of the challenge in this job is you feel like Henry Kissinger. You feel like you are between the buyer and the store owner and the manufacturer who pays your check. So one of the challenges is when I would go to sales meetings, we would stick up for our dealers and say, no, you can't do that to the dealer. You can't sell him a product and then discount it and then expect him to take the hit. You can't do that. And it was a fight, but the good reps would stand up for their dealers, and in the long run, it was better for the manufacturer and everyone.
Right.
But you couldn't go with all the dealer, and you couldn't go with all the manufacturers. So it's a balancing act.
Right. No, I get it. It's tough you're managing management.
Yes. They don't like that. They do not like
They
to
don't
be
know
managed.
that, though, sometimes.
Yeah,
But
if you're good, they don't know that.
But if you dangle that order in front of them, it's like, either take it or leave it.
Yeah, right.
Most of the time, they'll take it.
That's right.
I've been through that, too. So, But Johnny, any final words for anybody out there wanting to be a sales rep?
I would just say pursue what you enjoy. As a young person coming out of college, you're going to have opportunities. And sometimes one of the best things you can do coming out of college and not knowing what you're going to do is to do a job you think you're going to like. You might find out you don't like it at all, and that's great. That's not a failure. That's check it off your list. You don't want to do that. Now let's try this. And then eventually you're going to find what you like to do. It's not going to be your best job once. I did 4 or 5 jobs in big retailers that I did not enjoy, but that helped me get to where I was going. So don't think about, oh, what am I going to do the rest of my life? I mean, you're not going to eat steak the rest of your life. So just slow down, do some things, and pursue what you enjoy doing.
Perfect. That's great. I'm going to ask you this question. Last question, guys. Knowing what you know now, what would you ask the 28-year-old in you? What would you tell your the John Rushworth of 28 years old, knowing what you know now?
Okay. Well, since I have 9 grandchildren, I would tell them, first of all, you got to communicate with people. So get your face out of the computer, get your face out of your cell phone, because the people walking by could be your next employer. And just make sure that you communicate. Nowadays, I'm sounding like my dad, nowadays, people don't communicate. You need to communicate. I talk to people with MBAs, they don't communicate. You need to communicate if you're going to be in the sales business, or I think in any business, because in any business, you're kind of in sales one way or the other. So get back to your roots, start communicating with people, and that's what I would recommend.
Thank you. Words of wisdom by Johnny. John, thank you so much.
Thank you
for joining me today.
Pleasure.
Oh, we've been waiting for this for a long time. I'm glad Johnny made it. Guys, thank you for watching Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Is this on?
Harry, what are we doing here?
Oh, hey, bud. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I'm just setting up my swing vision over here so that during our hitting session, we can, see how bad I'm doing today.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
But you won't be doing bad, Harry.
No.
You'll be moving your feet, watching the ball.
This is why I love you, buddy.